Microgrids is becoming something very important, especially in the last few years, because it has been a topic of research maybe in the last 20 years, but in the last few years has become something commercialized. And I think it's very important to see and understand that this is not only about having renewable energy systems and battery at home or in some areas in which you don't have electricity, but also a tool to electrify electric ships in the sea, seaports, also electric aircrafts and airports at the same time. And we are looking now also to electrify also satellites and the moon with the future moon bases that we are going to have, and probably one day going to the Mars. As I mentioned before, the microgrid concept has been extended to many other areas, but we can see that it's not only about electricity, it's also about water. So the way that we see how we can store water and use it later, especially when we don't have the main water supply, we can see that is the same concept also we have with food. Right now, many people is talking about 0 kilometer food. So food that has been produced next to your town and you store there and you consume it. So you avoid to have long distance transportation of the food. The same happened with electricity, the same happened with water, the same happened with many other things. So in our concept, what we do is we think locally, we think small, because as a book said, small is beautiful. When you do the things locally, you avoid having large transportation systems, which what they have is more losses, more pollution and contamination, and more troubles. So what we want to make is the things much more easy. That is our main concept. And then you ask about the gaps. I think the gaps are really huge because as we touch so many areas, because this is not only a research of field, it's a philosophy of life. So because it's a philosophy of life, there are many things to transform in many aspects, technical, social, economical also, etc. So that's why you can see that there's many things to do. So when we think, for instance, on how we are going to electrify or to give energy to a base that is going to place in the moon, there is almost nothing done today. So that's why it's so amazing. We are also applying this concept to bioecologic systems. So we can produce an ecosystem also that could be placed in the space. And this is really amazing. You can just see these kind of things maybe in movies. But today still we don't have anything done. So that's why it's so exciting. And we can see that there are much more gaps that things has been already done. And to have like a big objective, and it's not like we are going to go just for the results. So we believe that what we are doing is a process. It's a process of learning. So I agree with you that not always you achieve the targets that you want to achieve, but when you are working on this direction, then you can achieve other things that you didn't expect. So for us, it's more like a process, and the process is the thing that we want to follow, not just to have a target. Because if you just have one target, then you are completely lost. If you don't have your goal, then you will feel very sad, right? But if you are enjoying all the process, that is really what's important, to enjoy and to really believe on what you are doing. And because in our systems, we are always have a big objective, which is to make our world a better place to be, and to be more green and renewable, and also at the same time more sustainable. It's very important that we see that we are helping other people. And then, of course, if helping other people, you can at the same time have a good business, then it's very good. But if you just focus on having a good business, then you will lose all your big objectives, and you will of course not having this happiness that is what you want to have, because finally what you are following up is to have a happiness. Even when you want to have a good business, is because you want to achieve money to be happy. So if in the process you are happy, then you don't need that. You know, it's you are already happy, and then you just, because you're happy, then everything is going to be a success. I think that what is very important is to see why you are so excited and happy to do this research, and what you really want to contribute with that. And this should be a big objective that is also beyond your life, you know. And then when you see this, then you can look on what is happening next to you, and you see, for instance, oh, there's a factory here next to my house that maybe I could help them with this brilliant idea. So then it's going to become something very practical, because, you know, even when we define microgrid as a philosophy of life, also it's very practical. It's not theoretical. That's why we can see that today it's becoming a reality. So there's so many things that we can explore, but all these things are next to us. We don't need to search in the internet. We don't need to find out in other countries. Probably it's next to you. So I will encourage people to just look around you and to see how you can help each other. I'm really interested on this area. I am reading some books which are not giving me 100% of satisfaction because I don't know it in detail. And I don't want to wait for another life to do that. So I need to do it this life. It happened kind of the same when I finished my PhD and I started to restart to study music. So for me, it was also the same thing I needed to do at that moment, because otherwise life just passed. And it was really nice to do it. At that time, I was married, so I convinced my wife to also study that together with her. So we studied this master on neuroscience together, and at the same time, she was pregnant. So we were indeed, we three together studying that master. And I think it was a very good thing to do these kind of things in family. So for me also, family become a very important thing, because also my wife is also an engineer, and she was also interested on this topic. But I told her, if we don't study now, it's going to be just an excuse to say, oh, it's too late to study. And if we can do it together, I think we can spend more time together also. So we did that. And I still remember that when she delivered our baby, we were also finalizing the master thesis. So I think it was really good to do that and to understand many things. Today, we are involved in another master, which is a master that is more focused on sleep. And it's very good because as our baby have now 6 months, the sleep is very broken, he cannot sleep all the night alone. Yeah. So also we cannot. But that's a good thing that we, thanks to this other master that we are now studying, we can understand the medical and the physiological issues of the sleep. And this is something that is also, I realize that is something really important, because, every day we need to sleep, and we need to understand that day. And there are many interesting aspects that we are studying also connected with neuroscience and sleep. So yes, I think that we are focusing more and more on these things. I know that many people in this world have problems with the sleep. So I hope that we could also help all these people to understand better and maybe to improve their lives. So that's maybe what it is driving us to study that. I was studying at the beginning engineering, making a bachelor, then a master, then a PhD. And when I finalized, I studied 5 years of music. So I become a musician. At that time I was really happy because I could study something that could also be more connected with me. Now, a few years back, I started reading some books about neuroscience, and I really like it because, our brain is the more complex system that we know today. There is nothing more complex, and it's unique in the whole universe. And this is something that when you wake up in the morning, you have to work with. When you are dealing with other people, what you are dealing is with different brains. And when you go to sleep, also is something that you still is working. The brain never stops. And for me, it was very interesting to understand that we have neurons in the whole body. So not only in the brain, but also in the heart. We have 40,000 neurons in our heart, which sometimes are activated because emotions, and our digestion system, stomach, etc., it's 500 million neurons. So the same amount of neurons that a cat have in the brain. And now you understand why, for instance, when you feel hungry, maybe you are in bad mood, it's not a centralized system, it's totally distributed. And that's why it's so important to exercise, to eat good food, and then to be happy. Everything is connected, And for me, it was very important to understand also the science that is behind this. Because today, science are giving us many things that meditation is something really good. So if you can make meditation once per day, for instance, half an hour, it's giving a lot of good things for you to be more relaxed and also to be more open to new possibilities and opportunities. So for me, it has been a completely change of the life. And I realized that understanding the brain and understanding biology, we can do many things in engineering, because whatever we do as human beings are inspired by the biology. This is what we call also bioinspiration. So what you do, when you do something, whatever you do, it's inspired by the nature. So basically, artificial things doesn't exist. Everything you do cannot be inspired by nothing else except the nature. So that's why it's so exciting to see how much today, for instance, artificial intelligence is growing. But what happens is that the artificial intelligence that we have today is based maybe in 5 years discoveries of neuroscience. Today, neuroscience is advanced much more than 5 years ago. So we are going to have new algorithms and new ways of understanding how our brains work, and then we will have better also understanding of how this artificial intelligence can be developed. And then at the same time, when we have better artificial intelligence development, we can understand better neuroscience, because these artificial intelligence allow us to make models of our brains and our diseases. We have to understand that today, for instance, we have been expand a lot the number of years that we can live, but unfortunately we can see that the people when arrive to a very old stages of life, what is really going bad in general is the brain. We have a lot of neurodegenerative diseases, and they are terrible. So we need cures for that, and artificial intelligence can help us. So it's somehow that the brain will help artificial intelligence to be developed much more, and artificial intelligence will help us to give us better solutions for medical systems.